introduce it first. Hello, you are listening to The Professional Artist on 107.7 United Public Radio in New Orleans. This is Echo Chernik, and this is going to be such a fun show today. I am talking to my friend Steven Stahlberg in Sweden, and he has got the sexiest work, and I'm so excited to tell you about it. So, Steven, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
You have been hard at work for the last 10 years on your graphic novel and hard at work. Sexy, sexy stuff. I'm so excited to talk about it. So share it with everybody.
But, me too. Well, hard at work is I need to explain that I was taking it really easy. That's why it's taking 10 years. You know, I was especially careful to take it really, really easy, because my style is very time consuming. That's one thing. And I knew I was going to maybe break under the pressure. If I set a deadline, like say, I'm going to do this in 5 years or 6 years or 7 or 3 or 2, whatever. I'm going to do it by January 19, whatever, 2000, whatever. So I purposely left it completely wide open and just did a little bit every day, like as much as I felt like, and then I stopped and then I did something else because I was working with other stuff all the time, full-time job, and then a Patreon as well, and then I bounced between those three things basically. But
all right. So first, because people are going, well, where can I find the sexy work? Where can they find it? I posted a link in the chat if people are on YouTube, but if they're not on YouTube and they're just listening, androidblues.com, and then the link that you gave me is really long. So the shorter link is just androidblues.com. And then do you have a shorter link to give them, or?
Yeah, I can open a little text file here.
Or if you just Google androidblues.com. Probably not at work because, like I said, it's super sexy. It is an erotic novel.
This is the on Facebook now. This is the shorter link, which leads to the first page. The other one was longer because it went to the last page, but I don't know if you can see it there.
Okay, I'm going to go over to Facebook and grab it in and copy it over. So, androidblues.thecomicseries.com /comics/1.
Yeah, I'm going to try putting it on the StreamYard chat. Okay. I don't know if you can see it in the StreamYard.
If you're on the chat, should be able to see it in the StreamYard. And if you're not, you're just listening. If you just type in Android Blues on Google, you'll find it, or go to Kickstarter, and it's still live on Kickstarter because you're doing a printed version that weighs 2.5 pounds.
Yeah, it's I have it here. It's this I don't know, I have to back away from the camera a little bit because it's so huge. So
don't drop it.
That's the thickness, A4 size. I'm sorry. I wanted it to be the same size as my favorite type of comics, which are, Belgian, French Belgian, European style. Of course, this is much thicker. I mean, they're usually like, I don't know, like a
that is very thick.
But that's I was. I was asking myself, should I split it up into like 10 or something, or 5, but no, let's just do the whole thing. Let's be done with it.
Oh, no.
That's why. That's why it's called Complete, Android Blues Complete. That's the name of the Kickstarter. I have the link here. I'm going to put it in 2 places. First here in the StreamYard chat, and then maybe also in the Facebook.
So you've been working at it on your Patreon. So you have a lot of Patreon people that have been following you, and you've been posting it up there for the entire time, right? So this is primarily how you've been creating this thing.
Yeah, I've been posting actually the PSD files that I've been making. At first, I only posted like one a month, but that was too slow because I was making more than one a month. So then I went up to three. I'm up to three PSD files a month now, and I still haven't reached the end. But that's not where I was posting. The finished JPEG pages were posted in three different places on the internet, and also on my Facebook, which I
Oh,
have
cool.
a couple of pages there. But
So,
yeah, my patrons got the PSD files, which I don't know if there any value, any extra value to that, but I felt like I wanted to give them something extra, you know.
so did you find when you were working on it, how many pages is it? Is it how like?
For 448, maybe 49 with the cover with an extra inside blank cover, you know.
Did you find that your style like changed a lot when you were working on it throughout,
Ye-
or?
yeah, it became smoother. I don't know how to say. In the beginning, it was rough on purpose. Like I was doing like more shorter strokes, like stroke, 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 stroke. You know, like shorter strokes, which makes something look a little bit like a porcupine sometimes. You know, like your lines are a little bit broken here and there,
Mm-hmm.
but then with time, like over the years, just slowly became smoother, and each line is more connected and smooth. You know, that's the only thing I can explain it by. You know, but it's hopefully not too different, because even from the start, you know, Serpieri is one of my favorites, and Mobius or Jean Giraud, you know, the famous uh, illustrator, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and other, like I mentioned, the French and the Belgian school, where you have these the ligne claire, you know, the outline that is unbroken, you know, which was originally inspired by Japanese prints. Yeah, I think you you probably seen what I mean, even if you don't exactly know right now what I'm talking about. But if you look at my talking to the viewers now, if you look at my comic, you probably see what I mean. It's it's a style which isn't really the American Marvel style, you know, DC and Marvel. That's not really. It's a bit different from that.
Yeah. So who are your famous, or who are your favorite, I guess, artists? You mentioned some of them, but
Yeah, again, his name is Mobius, or he calls himself Mobius, but his real name is Jean Giraud, spelled Gean Giraud, and of course, you know, Tintin, you know, Hergé, the Belgian artist, and Serpieri. I can't remember his first name. Is it Antonio Serpieri? I'm not sure. Anyway, the special cross hatching that he does, which Mobius also does a little bit, but Hergé never did. Hergé never did any cross hatching. He just has a line and then a solid block of color inside. So very nice and simple. And I do like a little mix of those styles. Also,
right.
Manara, I think he's Italian.
Manara's Italian, yeah.
Yeah, Manara. Also,
Milo Manara.
yeah. Also inspiring, because we seem to be drawing, you know, nude females in a similar kind of spirit. That,
Yeah, you could
I
definitely
mean,
see Manara's influence there.
yeah,
So,
you could call him a pin-up artist, I guess. I call myself a pin-up artist. That's one of the names I put on my Patreon. You know,
oh yeah,
the,
oh yeah,
it's it's a silly name. I mean, the pin-up is from American. It's the American 50s, right? That's when the name pin-up came from, where they would have centerfolds, which the
which
soldiers
they pulled
pinned up.
out and then pinned up.
Yeah, yeah, but it's descriptive, and it's a quick way to communicate roughly what I do. So
Hmm.
yeah,
And then you do other pinup art besides the Android Blues.
yeah. The Patreon, that's basically mainly what it is. like at the $1 level, there's not much sex to it. It's more like safe for work. But then I encourage people to move up to the $3 level, which is where I put the not safe for work stuff. That's
Yeah, I noticed you always post up and you have like the coverings and stuff in your Facebook posts that you can't,
yeah,
see anything too graphic. You keep it nice and friendly. As
yeah,
friendly as it is.
exactly. And the thinking is that obviously because of Mark Zuckerberg and Meta and Facebook and in IG, of course I always have to have two versions of everything. So I might as well use it also as a portal on my Patreon that I can have, because most people start at the $1 level because they don't know what to expect. If they've never seen me before, they come in and they put $1 and then they see, oh, this looks okay, I guess, and then they usually, I see that happen a lot. I see the same guy, he comes in at $1 and then he goes, like within like a few minutes he goes up to the $3 level. So that's good. I mean, it functions as a portal for me also. So
Well,
I don't.
it's
So
gorgeous. It's gorgeous
so
anyway, even without
thanks.
taking the
Thanks.
clothes off.
Yeah,
But
yeah, and I don't want to. I mean, I really can't get banned from. I mean, I can. I know I can, but you know what I mean. It would be pretty bad for me if I got banned with all the followers that I built up on Facebook and Instagram.
oh, have
No.
faith in yourself. I'm sure you can get banned.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've been threatened. I mean, they banned me like what is it like 24-hour ban or 3-day ban. I can't remember what it is they do, but that's happened many times. But it seems that I've been able to pinpoint where the the limit is right now. But the limit changes, the line changes from
Yeah.
year to year what they allow. So it's yeah, it's a dance. I have to. They keep me on my toes for sure.
I know it just drives you crazy. You never know what they're going
Yeah,
to allow, what they're not going to allow. It's like whoa. Supposedly Facebook allows artistic nudity, but then they don't allow it, and they keep changing their mind. I mean, you could show like painting. Supposedly you can show a painting with breasts if it's a painting, it's a classical painting or something like that. But
yeah.
then they'll ban you if they think if it looks too realistic. But you're not allowed to show anything that's sexual in nature. But then I just posted this up on my own Facebook page because it kept popping up on my feed. There was a Picasso drawing that popped up that was there's a Facebook group I follow that shows like old pieces from like Art Nouveau times pieces, and the in this Picasso drawing, I forgot the name of it, but it was the two brothers that were sculptors. I forgot their names. One was a sculptor, one was a painter, and they posed for him as the absinthe drinkers a lot. But there was that they were modeling and they were with a prostitute,
I
and one
think I've
was
seen
like
that one. Yeah,
yeah, one was in the background, and the other looked really young. And the younger one, he was drawn to look really young, and he was sitting like on her lap, and he had like an eye patch on, and he's like fondling her breast or like open
yeah.
breast, and
What?
I'm like, but that's allowed, and then I'm like, that's like, first of all, that's like prostitution and fondling her breast, but it's a
Yeah,
Picasso, but it's allowed on Facebook, and and I was like, I reported it a couple times because I was like, is this really allowed? And they're like, oh yeah, it's fine, and I'm like, wait,
you know.
what?
So you reported your own one just to test them, right? Is that why you were doing?
Well, it
What?
wasn't on my page. It was on
Oh,
a different
oh,
group's page, and I reported it like 3 different times. And once for
oh,
prostitution, and twice for like being like lewd, because I'm like, well, because it is. It's a sexual act, and I'm like, even
yeah,
I'm like, that shouldn't really be on there. I don't even post sexual act stuff.
yeah.
Nipples are one thing, but
It's
um,
it's a very blurry line, but I think what they do is that they look like how abstract is the style. So in this case, if I remember the one, I think it was a very wobbly line, right? Like sometimes there were even 2 or 3 lines, like it was very sort of sketchy and free form, right? Am I right? I think it's
yeah,
the one.
it was drawn with like a crayon. So
Yeah,
if you're fondling a woman's breast and your hand is drawn with a crayon and wobbly, that's
yeah,
okay. So
yeah.
if you do it,
I think the I think the most important thing is realism, because they're the same at Pixiv as well. On Pixiv, which allows way worse stuff than like DeviantArt even, but if it's too realistic, like if you're using AI and it goes too realistic, or if you're using 3D and it goes too realistic, like photorealistic, then boom, you're completely banned all of a sudden, and we never see that artist again. That kind of thing happens, sort of, right? But if it's extremely stylized, like I don't know, like that one there, if there's an outline, and the colors are flat, like if it's cartoony, then all of a sudden, I think they're using an AI to read these images, and the AI sorts them, and the AI has been taught that realism is a no-no, and so there's a spectrum between full realism and fully not realism. You know what I mean?
But then if you report it, doesn't it go to a person, or does it go again to AI?
I think the first thing that happens is AI, especially on Facebook, because they have way too many subscribers. So there's an AI that flags it, and this has happened to me several times. I how do you say? I fight the decision. I appeal the decision.
Yeah, appeal the decision, right?
Yeah, and so then it goes to a human, and so and then they say, oh, okay, yeah, sorry about that. We take back our decision. So. Because it wasn't sexual. Yeah, they have a form where you fill in like tick the box that applies to you. Is this okay in your area, in your region? And then I tick that yes, and then.
But in this case, it was sexual because he was
Yeah.
fondling her boob.
Yeah,
so that's what I was confused by, because that does break the rule.
Yeah. This is different, but it was extremely cartoony, and mine are more realistic. So I'm always I'm dancing on the line. But yeah.
So if you want to draw
AI goes in.
So if you want to draw sexual content on Facebook, you need to draw it with a crayon.
Yeah. You need to put it in your left hand as well if you're right-handed, and have a drink or two. Yeah.
Wobbly crayon boobs are okay.
Yeah, exactly.
We should do this. We should get drunk and draw wobbly crayon boobs and see if it goes through the filter or not.
Well, first we have to make some fake accounts, because we could make 10 fake accounts, and then we range from super realistic on 10, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we just name them. We name them that way as well. Like name the first one cartoon, and then the second one slightly less cartoony. No, I'm just kidding. But
we name it by whatever we're drinking.
we can't use our own accounts, because we'd get banned at some point.
Blue crayon white wine. That's what we should name them.
Yes. LSD.
That sounds like an LSD.
Yeah.
LSD.
Yeah, there was an experiment, like, I don't know if you've seen that on Facebook or somewhere, that it comes up regularly, like in the 60s they had in the military, or somewhere, I don't know, they had a test subject who was an artist, and they gave him LSD, and then he started drawing, like he made 10 portraits or something, and the portraits just got weirder and weirder and weirder, and then right at the last one you see him saying something like, I don't feel like doing this anymore, because he probably felt really, really weird, spaced out, and unable to think or something. But yeah,
I saw one where somebody did self-portraits on different drugs. He did one on top, one on LSD.
Maybe that's the one I'm thinking about. But there's one with a spider too, where they have spiders spinning nets, and then they somehow infuse the spider. Maybe they do it through the air somehow, I don't know, with different drugs, and then the net becomes different in each.
Well, they put the spiders on LSD?
No, I don't know. LSD, maybe meth, caffeine, alcohol, tobacco. I can't remember. It's such a long time ago, but they tried different chemical substances.
We're talking Chrome. We're talking about apparently making art and putting spiders on LSD. we're actually talking about what can get you banned off of Facebook for art, because Steven does a lot of awesome, amazing erotic art, and he currently has a erotic graphic novel on Kickstarter that he's been promoting, and Facebook loves to not let you promote that on your Kickstarter on Facebook. So we're talking about how to get yourself banned off Facebook.
Yeah, we got off on a tangent there. I keep doing that. I remember things that I've seen somewhere, and then that reminds me of that, and that reminds me of that. I guess I'm a little bit Asperger's or something. I don't know.
Oh, I like the I like the spiders on LSD or whatever. That's kind of amazing.
I'll Google it later and send you a link later if I find it.
Oh no, I definitely want to hear about that. I'm all about the spiders on LSD. That's amazing. So anyway, but speaking of which, have you had problems promoting your Kickstarter on Facebook because of the content?
No, it's not. I mean, there are many worse. I shouldn't say worse. Better, in my opinion, but worse from Facebook's point of view, comics out there. This comic that I made, it is not really. The purpose is not for somebody to take their clothes off and have sex with somebody. That's not the story. I mean, there's a story to it that has nothing to do with sex. But okay, she is a sex robot. She is not a robot, but an android created to be pleasing to both men and women, but just to humans. And she loves humans because she's been programmed to love humans. She loves everybody, and anything human is just wonderful to her. And so she would like you could buy her but the bad guy bought her for a different reason. The bad guy bought her for committing murder. So she was tricked into I shan't reveal too much, but if you just read the first few pages, you'll see that she is a suspect for mass murder. And so but because she is a sex robot, or I keep saying sex robot, why am I saying that? She is an android created to have pleasurable times with humans, and actually a play of words. She's a playbot, that's like Playboy, that the brand name of her, the business, the company that made her, is the Playbot company. So she's a playbot, and so there will be some sexy stuff in there, but luckily I have many other images to choose from when I'm going to market it on Facebook. I don't have to.
Oh, that's good.
I don't have to choose the sexy ones. Yeah,
I love how you draw her, though.
In the past, it has gotten me a bad. Not now, not recently, right? Because they've changed the way they operate. But maybe say 5 years ago, I can't remember exactly when. There were two nipples, like one dot, dot, two tiny, just ink, right? And Facebook didn't like that. So since then, I'm always putting little gray circles or rectangles over, or blurring it. Yeah, just to be safe, But that's it didn't get me banned, but it was taken down a couple of times for that reason. But I think it's better now because they're using an AI, like I mentioned before, and the AI can tell if it's cartoony, like if it's ink, then I don't think it flags it. But I'm not gonna risk it. But
yeah,
that's my suspicion.
Yeah. So and then and then what else are they gonna ask? So they can find that on your they can find the Kickstarter just on kickstarter.com/ Android Blues, or
let me read my own link that I just posted up here. Kickstarter.com projects Steven Stahlberg / Android Blues complete. I call it complete because, like I mentioned earlier, the book is thick and it contains the whole thing.
Yeah, so it's super cool. So, but Yeah. And so tell us more about, you and your career, where you started out and everything.
Oh, shall I start with my school? I had
Yeah.
I had a couple of pleasurable years in art school, and there was one in Australia where I was at the time. That was my first year in art school. Took some lessons there, but it's such a long time ago that it's fading in memory. But there was my first introduction to, you know, croquis, we say in Sweden, and also in France they say, what is it, life drawing, life drawing, still
Mhm.
not still life drawing, yes, okay. So that was the first time there for that, and we had oil painting and we had printmaking, and that was fun. And then in Sweden, a few years later in Sweden, I went to 2 years in art school in Stockholm, which was also wonderful, like the best time of my life, probably, if I'm not misremembering something. That was those were some wonderful couple of years there. And that's also roughly when I started freelancing for money. So that during those 2 school years, I freelanced a little bit for
Cool.
magazines in Sweden. And then I joined a company of freelance. And well, I mean, it it was a loose knit conglomeration of artists who were like, each one had their own style, and but they were under, never mind. I don't have to explain the fine points of this company to you, but I was there for a short time, and then I went to Hong Kong, and then I worked there as a freelancer for pretty much 10 years. And that was,
Why'd you go to Hong Kong? Just like, oh, Hong Kong sounds fun. I'm gonna go there.
yeah, sort of like that. And I had just had a contact, like a friend in Sweden had been there, and he'd made a contact, like he said, he just gave me a calling card. Here, try this, because I was gonna travel around the world on one of those things that you probably only do like once in a lifetime. Like I was gonna have a real long vacation and go around the world, and then I was gonna pass through Hong Kong, and so I went up and met this nice lady who had a artistry, it was called, with two e's at the end, kind of witty. Artistry, that was the name of her company, and it was within Ogilvy and Mather. So she was like a sub company inside an marketing company in Tai Kuching in Hong Kong, and that was great. I mean, that was such an amazing time. That was 1989, when I that was the last year when they still had that, the Forbidden City, or what they call it. They tore it down that year
Oh, yeah.
when I first came there, the one that Blade Runner is based on. So I never visited it, but I think I was in Hong Kong at the time when they were bulldozing it down. Uh,
Wow.
and anyway, there were other parts of Hong Kong that really looked like that back then. But now I've been back recently, and they're kind of sanitizing Hong Kong, like, and it's not for the poor people that they're sanitizing. It's for the rich people. They're gentrifying Hong Kong, basically. So all that stuff is disappearing. They're painting all the walls on the outside, and tearing down the worst buildings, and putting up glass towers instead. That kind of thing is ongoing, and they almost completely wiped out that old Blade Runner feeling that was there before. But yeah, we lived there 10 years, me and my wife and two kids. Well, I had the kids while I was there. And then we went to America, and I worked there for a while. And then I went back to Malaysia, because there was a guy who I met in Hong Kong who then went to Malaysia when I went to America. And then he called me and said, come over. We start a company here, and that didn't go too well. We made a go of it for 6 years in Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, and it's a wonderful town, especially back then, to live in. Again, it's changed over the years, but our company didn't take off really. So then I went back to America again. So I've been
Wow.
I've been traveling around a little bit.
That's so cool. I just to be like, I'm gonna just move across to a completely different country. I guess Americans don't think like that so much. I just can't imagine just being like, I'm gonna move to Malaysia, you know?
Because Americans have everything inside one huge country, and the rest of the world recedes a little bit. Like it becomes less important because you have everything. You can do what I did. You can travel. You can travel the heck out of yourself, but you can still stay inside of the United States. It's you can migrate.
Yeah.
You can migrate this way and that way, and I mean, you even have small parts of Hong Kong inside, because you have Chinatown in some big cities. So stuff like that. I mean, you can. It's it's not necessary to go outside, but you know it's
That's
fun
amazing though. I
to
mean, I
see the
just,
rest of the world. Yeah.
I like I want to travel more. I haven't traveled as much as I want. I've traveled a little bit, but I've only been to Iceland and I've been to Germany, but I haven't been to Sweden yet or anything. But I plan to travel to Europe eventually, a little more. But never
Yeah,
been to Hong Kong.
no, I'm not sure if I would recommend it now. Since China took over, also there's always the chance of having demonstrations, which I don't know. It it right now. I'm sure it's really peaceful and quiet because China has squashed all those demonstrations. But you never know. It could flare up again. There's there's always the chance, or I should say risk. But yeah, Kuala Lumpur is very peaceful and quiet. You could go there. That's very safe. Singapore, very safe. Uh, Very nice place.
I
A
think
bit
it's
small.
important as an artist to travel and see things, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. If you move to Singapore, you might regret it because it's so small. It's so tiny. It's a tiny, tiny little island that you might feel, hemmed in. Especially if you're an American, you're used to, America's wide open spaces. It's not. It's a bit of a contrast, but Malaysia is big. You could go to Indonesia. Um, I mean, I would pick Malaysia over Indonesia, but I guess I'm biased because I lived in. We went back to Malaysia for 4 more years. So total, I lived in Malaysia for 10 years also. So I've
Wow.
I spent 20 years in Asia. So I kind of I miss Asia sometimes, often. I mean, whenever I think about it, I start missing it. But now I'm in
Yeah,
Sweden,
it's
so
cold.
it's
It's cold there now. You can't go out and ride your motorcycle right now, you say.
yeah, that's true. Winter will be boring, but then comes summer, so I'll be happy then. I got something to look forward to.
So what are you gonna do once this Kickstarter's done and you get your book out? You can keep making more art for the Patreon, obviously.
Yeah, I have to keep up the I have to provide what I promised that I will provide. It's like a contract. I've said that I will do certain things each month, and I enjoy it. It's not a huge chore for me to do that. It's a couple of pinups and then the pages of the comic. But I mean, I don't know if anybody is interested in those, but I put them in there anyway as a bonus, and a video of how I do each month. The main illustration that I do each month, I also film it and then put the narration to it, and then that's about 20
Yeah,
minutes long video.
how do you do your work? You don't use any I know you don't use AI at all. You do all your
Yeah.
drawings by hand. I know that. So, but how do you work?
I do use a lot of references. So I use DuckDuckGo now because Google is screwed with AI. When if you type in uh, beautiful woman, for instance, like whatever, something like that. You'll get like half of the images will be AI, unless you specify before a certain year. You can specify before 2020. When did it come out? I don't know, 2022. You can
Yeah.
specify that in your search. But I would recommend using DuckDuckGo instead, because it's free, obviously, but it's also it hides your search history in a way that Google doesn't. Google will take your
Oh.
search history. Yeah, I mean, you'll get commercials in Facebook from well, since I haven't used Google in a while, I'm not sure about this, but I have a feeling that Facebook can Mark Zuckerberg can access your what if you look at a motorcycle helmet, and then you'll get motorcycle helmet ads in Facebook. I don't know, but I suspect. But DuckDuckGo doesn't do that.
That's good to know, because I've noticed I searched for one thing and all of a sudden I'm getting ads all over the
Yeah,
place. I'm like, whoa.
yeah. And I
So
don't get AI. I get a few, maybe, like way less AI images in DuckDuckGo. And so I use reference a lot, and I use an old version of Photoshop, because this subscription bullshit, I'm not gonna subscribe to something like that. I'd rather use Affinity then. I haven't used Affinity, but I hear that the Affinity is a good replacement for Photoshop. So I would recommend everybody to never use Photoshop again, because Photoshop is training AI on your stuff. If you put it on the
yeah.
cloud, if you put your work on their cloud, they have the right to take it and train their AI on it, which they already have done. And so, but I'm using an old version, CS6, I think it is, Creative Studio 6, but that's illegal. Apparently now they tell me that no, you can't use our old software that you paid for. Well, okay, if they come from me, I'm going to go to Affinity. But anyway,
Whoa,
that's my.
they how can that be illegal? I mean, you already,
Oh,
if you bought it, how can you not use it?
well, it's easy, because I'm okay. We're going to lose a lot of listeners now, but I'm a lefty, and I will say that it's because of capitalism. this is this it's not a strange thing in Sweden to be a lefty, but anyway, I'm a pinko commie bastard. That's just my opinion after traveling the world like I have done, and seen what corporations do. But Adobe is just another example. They all do this when they become to a certain size. A corporation has to keep growing. They have to make more money this year than last year. That's just the way. The shareholders will kill you otherwise. They will fire the CEO. They will. I don't know. The shareholders are the masters, basically, of every company that is big enough.
Mm.
If it's big enough, if it has a certain uh, I forget the word now. Sorry, I got
Yeah.
I got two languages inside of my head, and sometimes I can't, I can't get the right word.
Too many
But
voices in your head going on. I understand.
yeah, I mean,
So
never mind my politics. But
I
how
know
can they
that.
how can they do that? You say, yeah. I mean, it's easy. They just decide to do it because they want the money.
It's like
That's
saying, "Oh, your car's too old. You can't drive your car anymore. You have to
yeah,
get a new car."
yeah,
It's like, wait a minute. But
yeah. Nobody can stop them, because they have a monopoly. They think. I mean, now there's a few alternatives now, but they thought they had a monopoly, and that's why. And that's another thing that usually happens with a big company. A big company buys a smaller company, and sooner or later you have a monopoly in every industry. So
I can't
so
imagine it would be illegal. I would just imagine it wouldn't be supported and just wouldn't work with stuff.
it used to be
But
illegal. Like America used to have monopoly laws. Like it was completely illegal to have a monopoly, and they would break up companies into smithereens, into smaller
wait,
companies. But
we
this
still
was a long time
have
ago.
monopoly laws, don't we? I think.
Yeah, yeah, but this starting with Reagan, and Clinton, they and so on, they were defanged. The laws are not very. Yeah, there has been some cases recently, but there's monopoly on like everywhere in the world right now, and especially in America. You have a media monopoly. You have a streaming monopolies, or I mean, it's okay. Say near monopolies, not exactly monopoly. I don't know what you call it. Oligarchy. When there's more, when there's like two or three instead of hundreds, like it should
Yeah.
be. Anyway, never mind that. But that's what Adobe is doing anyway. So
Well,
I
but there's still options. I mean, you don't
yeah,
have to use Adobe.
yeah,
So,
yeah. That's good. Yeah,
which is
yeah,
good. So you don't
yeah,
have to.
yeah.
That's a
When they
good thing.
yeah when they took those decisions, they probably weren't figuring on like the strong reaction that has happened since then, and I've seen it on my Facebook. I've seen artists being very vocal and teaching other artists about, like even on YouTube. I've seen this guy making videos about Affinity and how it replaces Photoshop for him. His just his personal experience, and he made a very nice set of uh, also for Adobe Premiere and DaVinci Resolve. I don't know if you've heard of those, but
Mhm.
DaVinci is free. But of course, Adobe Premiere and what's the other one called? Adobe.
Illustrator?
Yeah, or
That's the vector one.
yeah. There's two that you use for videos, right?
Oh, for
There.
videos, Premiere and no, I don't do videos very much. Premiere and is it After Effects still or
Yeah. That's it. And so both of
yeah.
those are replaced by DaVinci Resolve.
Okay.
And he had some complaints about DaVinci Resolve, but it's free, so it's very powerful. His complaints were just based on workflow things. Like he does a lot of editing, and so he begrudges every single extra click that he has to do. So he was like complaining a little bit, like, oh, there's an extra click here. I don't like that. But it's I use DaVinci Resolve also, but I'm not a power user like him. But I've used it to make an odd video here and there, a couple of videos, and I find it very powerful. And I haven't even used like half of it, a tenth of it, maybe. Like super powerful audio editing equipment there that I've never even looked into. I just sort of skimmed it by looking at somebody else's video about, like, wow, that seems great, I should use that, but I don't have a use for it. But it's free. So and
Oh, that's
and
good.
yeah, and Affinity, he did the one on Affinity, and Affinity he really liked. He found a way to do everything that he did in Photoshop. He found a way to do it in Affinity, and he thought
And
that was,
they don't train your stuff in AI on that. So, because that's the
yeah,
biggest concern for artists. So I know I don't put my stuff up on the cloud because I'm like, oh no. So
no,
it's kind of scary. I'm like, yeah, no. So I know people are,
yeah,
yeah. I don't put the stuff up on the cloud
yeah.
either
No, I
because
might have to go to Affinity as well. If they, I mean, yeah, yeah, what I'm afraid of is going to happen one day is that there's going to be a pop-up on my computer screen and saying, we noticed that you're using an old version of Adobe. Please upgrade to the latest version, or stop using, something like that. That's what I'm waiting for it to happen. But if when that happens, I'm going to Affinity, definitely. That's for
yeah,
sure.
I don't know the rules on that. I don't know what it says in
Yeah.
the contract. I would think if you bought it, you bought it, but not.
I
I
could
don't
be
know.
wrong. Yeah, I could be wrong, but I thought I heard somebody say somewhere that because it used to be available, the old CS6 used to be available on their website like years ago, but they've taken it away, like they removed that completely. And I think somebody said there was a notice somewhere on their website, like you can't use the old ones anymore or something like that. And I can believe it. I mean, it sounds exactly what I would do if I didn't care about people and I only cared about money. That's clearly what is in their
I
best
don't.
interest.
Yeah, I guess they can say it, but I don't know if they can enforce it. And I don't know the rules on it. Honestly, it'd be interesting to see if anybody has any information on that. It'd be interesting if they could post it. I'd like to know what the rules are on that. I'm sure we could research it. But yeah, things are just getting more interesting. But I see a lot of artists are moving back over to traditional media because of things like this that are happening. So I
Yeah.
found I've seen a shift in that. Would you ever go back to traditional, or you like digital too much?
Oh, I I don't think I can. I First there's an investment in money, like a huge amount of money just to buy. First, I have to decide which media, because I used to have. I was a traditional illustrator, like commercial illustrator, and I would take any job, right? So I had to have everything, because they'd ask for anything from airbrush to dry pastel to what's the other one called? Wet pastel. We call it oil pastel in Sweden.
Oil
Uh,
pastel, yeah.
yeah, gouache, acrylics. Uh, and the real oil painting paint, the oil paint, um, pencils, color pencils, and the markers, the magic marker. I have to have
Hmm.
everything at home, and so first I'd have to decide. Okay, I can't buy all of it at once, so decide which
It's
one you're going to do.
expensive, so.
Yeah, it's way more today than back then too. Like, oy,
Oh
oy,
yeah.
oy. But
Bonk says you can set your program to be disallowed from connecting to the internet, and that should solve the problem in theory.
oh, okay. Yeah,
So.
I haven't had a problem yet so far, but that's probably because I'm still on Windows 10, I think, which is the latest one now, 11, right? That's the
Yeah, I
latest
think.
one. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's why I haven't. I don't want to upgrade to 11, because I have a feeling that 11 is going to be more intrusive into like checking which programs I'm running and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm paranoid,
I
but
don't like the AI stuff. Every time I hear like ads for AI things like helping your life and this and that, I'm just like, no, just stay out of my stuff. Yeah.
yeah,
So.
AI, generative AI, it is the devil. Like it's a curse on mankind. It's just it's great for the CEOs, and
Well,
it's the opposite. It's really really bad for us artists. Even
everyone's
those
trying to.
artists who love using it, like a few artists are t- taking it as a new tool in their toolbox, and loving using it, but it's not. Uh, I, in the long run, it's going to, if the AI survives itself, because it has this problem with eating itself, like it can go crazy by eating its own images, but
Yeah.
if it survives that, if they figure out how to fix that, and a couple other problems, like the incredible computational cost that it demands, like just the water that they need for cooling like Google wants to buy nuclear reactors now, just to be able to run their AI. If it can, if it can get over those problems, then it's just the end of all, freelance art. Like you can do art if you like, but you can't make money off it anymore. If that happens, that's going to be the end of it. And then we're going to have to be retrained as plumbers or electricians, but then 15 million other people are also going to have the same thought. We're going to be retrained as plumbers and carpenters and electricians, and then we're still up the creek without an income. So it's but hopefully AI will die down, or sort of, maybe it's hit its peak already. We don't know. We'll see.
I
That's the hope that I
I
can see for the future.
I think it will sort itself out in time. It's just gonna take. We're like
Yeah,
in a weird Wild West time right now, where everyone's trying to figure out how they can make money off of it and how they can use it, and eventually it will find its place and sort out. It's gonna cause some harm for a while, unfortunately, and
yeah,
we just have to kind of wait until it settles down.
yeah. Yeah,
It's
there's a
just.
good chance. There's a good chance that it might just prove too unreliable, and it might get a little worse, like I mentioned, when it gathers its own images, when it trains itself on its own images after 4 or 5 generations of this circle, this loop, it goes completely, it breaks. So that has obviously hasn't happened yet, but some of those AIs are being trained on some AI, because there's so much AI now out there on the internet, and that's where they go to grab new. They need more all the time. They need more stuff to train on, so it keeps going grabbing, and by accident it'll grab some of its own product, and so hopefully it'll go crazy, hallucinating more and more.
Once they get some of it trained properly into a good use, and I think it could actually be useful, but it's going to have to be done right. I think, I mean, I can see it being good and useful. It's just it has to slow down. If people have to slow down
Yeah,
and do it properly, not, it'll get
yeah.
there. It's just kind of
Well,
crazy in the
yeah.
meantime.
I mean, if we all had a universal basic income, I wouldn't care. Sure, go ahead and yeah, use AI as much. Everybody use AI. Go ahead. That would be fine. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, it's a matter of paying the rent and paying the bills and buying food to eat. So
Well, I
yeah,
know you don't use AI, and I'm sure you've been accused of it though, because
not
but
yet. But
not
my
yet.
style is a little bit different. Yeah, you have like you have these poor people who have been trained, and it's been reproduced. I don't think they're trained too much on me, so mine. I think I've escaped it because I'm not the big uh, I'm not the big game. There's others that are the big game, and they have been trained on like uh, a lot. So now the AI looks like them, and then that's why now those people who don't know, they will yeah, they will say, oh look, that's AI. No, that guy was here before AI. It's because they are
Yeah.
trained on his work that it's yeah.
Oh,
No,
your work's been around for a long time. I remember seeing your work years
yeah,
ago. So I love your stuff. But
thanks. Yeah, well,
we're almost out of time, so I want to make sure people can go over and check out your work on your Patreon. So give everyone your Patreon name again so they can find you.
yeah, they don't let they. That's another thing because I do that 18 plus type of art, not safe for work art. They don't.
Mm-hmm.
It can be tricky to find. My, I'm gonna go to my. It's
So
just
it's
Patreon.com. Oh, this is really strange. They've added Patreon has changed the. I'll show you. I'm going to put it here in our chat here in StreamYard chat. So they added a
okay.
C. Like, why the hell did they do that? Between
Oh,
Patreon.com
you
and
put
my
it in
name.
private chat. Oh yeah, it's Patreon. Hold on, you put it in private chat, not the main chat. Uh,
Yeah, I don't think I have access to another chat.
okay, it's Patreon. I'll just read it off then. It's
Or is
Patreon.com. Hold on. Ah, it's in the
oh, it's
main chat.
I found it. I found it. Okay, so
Find it?
it was yeah because it's called comments. It's not called chat. So okay, so comments. I have to
Yeah, it's
join it.
comments. Go to comments. Yeah, go there.
Mm,
Patreon.com/C
oh,
slash. Hold on, I lost you here.
there's a whole new window that comes up. Oh, okay, never mind. I have to pick a Google account to do that. No, no, just go to patreon.com Stahlberg. That's my recommendation. I think they add the C automatically somehow, like
Okay.
internally.
Stahlberg is spelled Stahlberg.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Stahlberg. So go to patreon.com/Stahlberg. So definitely check out the Patreon because that's where you can see all the really good stuff. Definitely worth it. You can join for $1 and check it all out. So 100,000,000% go check out your stuff. So, but do you have anything else that you want to add?
No,
No.
it's been No, not me. I'm not. I'm being shy. Sorry.
Yeah, you're so shy. You're so humble, Steven. You're always so humble. You're always like,
I'm
oh,
I'm not used to talking to people. This is nice. It's very nice talking to you now. Yeah.
I love talking to you. Well, thank you so
Yeah.
much for being on the show and for coming on and chatting and telling us all about your projects and stuff. And everybody's got to go see your work. So I hope that a lot of people see it because it's just so good. I love your work so much. So I
Yeah.
contacted you
Thank
for my
you.
own Patreon a while back so I could share your stuff because I loved sharing your stuff. So you've been one of my favorite artists for a long time. So,
Thank you.
but thank you again. Again, it's patreon.com/Stahlberg, Stahlberg. And you have been listening to The Professional Artist on 107.7 United Public Radio Network. And we are on YouTube and Facebook. And make sure to hit the like and subscribe. And we will see you guys again next week. So keep making art. And thank you again for joining us.